Hello guys, welcome to my second video detailing my new build, this league 3.25. This is probably my favorite this league. I call it the Death Surfer, and it's a build that I created inspired by MB Extreme and his Death Aura build. So I'm using the Death Oath just as he did, but I actually went for the staff because he's using enchantment craft that is very expensive on I guess it's on a wand, the explodey craft. This is an explodey craft as well in the enchantment part, but it's a lot cheaper. I managed to craft this staff myself. It's mostly tier 1 staff for this build. It's pretty good, and the base for it I bought from trade pretty cheap. It already had double tier 1 prefixes, so I only crafted the rest. And yeah, this stuff is pretty crazy. Kind of like it. Then I went for the Impresence Amulet, which grants us Despair 0 reservation if cast as an aura, which we do use. And then we are using the Explodey Loop. We are using the Azenith Gentle Touch, which also curses enemies on hit. We're using the Awakened Blasphemy support together with Despair to create a Despair aura, which means that we have double cursing enemies, and when they die while cursed, they explode because of our Ascendancy or Occultists, so it has only a 50% chance to explode with the Ascendancy. That's why we use the Azenith Gentle Touch, but that means that some explosions always happen. Sometimes even the Stalking Pustule explosion happens, which is like the strongest explosion we have. And then the explosion hits surrounding enemies, and they get cursed by the Cursed on hit by the Azenith Gentle Touch, which causes the curses to proliferate and then continue exploding on and on. So we can actually like chain proliferate explosions through all the screen. We are using some generic boots with stats and movement speed and action speed and elusive effect. We are using 2 skills for increasing our movement speed. That's the trick. We are using automation gem together with withering step, and we are using automation again here together with the phase run. We have permanent phase run, and we have occasional withering step. The withering step is actually triple tapping. It's increasing our defense, our movement speed, and also our damage by applying a big chunk of withering stacks on bosses. The Death Aura itself has pretty decent clearing. I mean, it has amazing clearing damage. The explosions are amazing as well. But for single target, we are using a setup a bit different from the MB Extreme build. It's the Blight of Contagion, because it has the highest single target DPS potential, and together with the Awakened Cast while channeling support linked to the Essence Drain. The reason why is because the Essence Drain itself creates a debuff that heals us, and the heal is quite crazy. It's almost like 5,000 HP per second, so with this setup the heal is so strong that this build can actually do feared. We are using, to avoid this build to be very costly, I tried to avoid using too many Enlightened support and ended up using 0. So we are using the Devouring Diadem, which not only gives us Eldritch Battery, which is pretty good for our build because we're reserving all of our mana. We have to have something to cast our channeling spells, right? It also gives 25% increased reservation efficiency for auras that are socketed into it. And it so happens we're using exactly 4 auras. We're using Malevolence, we're using Purity of Elements, Flesh and Stone, and Determination. The last 2 auras are mainly for the defense, but yeah, I had to buy this version of Devouring Diadem with the Corrupt for 90% cost reservation and multiplier to actually be able to put in the Flesh and Stone. But you can use this build even without this corruption, and you won't be able to put in the Flesh and Stone. In that case, you'll put just Flame Dash inside, because I'm quite socket starved, so if I want to Flame Dash through an obstacle, I have to swap weapons, Flame Dash, and then swap weapons back. But mostly, in 99.9% of the times, you don't really need to use Flame Dash at all, because you're moving pretty fast when both the Phase Run and Withering Step are on. For the belt, we're using just a generic belt with high amount of life, and some resistances. What is important is to build up armor on this build, because the most, the greatest vulnerability for this build from the start is actually physical damage. So I'm getting as much armor as I can on this jewel, on this belt. I have pretty high chunk of armor from the chest plate. We have a huge chunk of armor from the boots, and we are using determination. And because we are scaling the damage of Death Aura by scaling the Aura effect, and we are taking these nodes for Aura effect and these nodes for Aura effect, we also have the Timeless Jewel, which by itself gives 4 plus 9 plus 3 Aura effect. I don't think there is any more of it, but it's pretty significant by itself, and also giving us +1 to maximum chaos resistance, because we are converting some of the elemental damage we take to chaos, and this one gives us +5 to maximum chaos, so that increases our defenses quite a lot. I am not running 90% defenses on everything. I have 76 and 83 on chaos, but it is enough. And the reason why it's enough is because you are going this way, and you are actually using medium cluster jewels that have flow of life, and you are using 4 of them, and you are using a lot of nodes for HP, you can actually reach pretty decent, for a bomber build, it's pretty decent chunk of HP, over 5,000 HP. In my case it is 5,400. We are also crit immune because of the corrupt on our chest. This corrupt is pretty cheap. You don't have to use it together with the corrupt for +1 level of Sakata gems. That is a bit more costly, but 50% reduced extra damage from critical strike as a corrupt is just enough. And you get the other 50% from here. This is 30 plus 20 from the mastery node, and we are crit immune by default, right? We are also, because we are in purity elements, we are also ailment immune. We are quite decently overcapped in resistances, and that all together makes us quite chunky. Now, how do we create so much clear with the Death Aura? Well, for once we are using the hidden anointment on the amulet called Beacon of Hope, which increases the range of our auras by 80%, which is pretty big by itself. We are also having these nodes for aura, area of effect. We are using increased area of effect here, which says +30, and that is still not all. We have, where is it? We have even more aura effect. Where was it? Oh yeah, right. The mastery. The node here itself, it gets +9% increased effect of non-curse auras, but also +20% increased area of effect of aura skills. And our clearing damage skill called Death Aura is an aura in fact. So if we check the Death Aura range, it is +227%, which is basically screen wide, which is amazing. So yeah, that's the build. POB in description. Let me know if you like this one. I personally love this one, and I've managed to kill all the pinnacle bosses. I've cleared tier 17s. I did all the encounters over here to get my favorite maps, and basically this build can do practically everything. It does not have that much of a single target for doing the uber bosses, but we might get there. I'm still working on it.